it's important to be abreast of the current happenings. And in addition to knowing what is happening, it is also important to have a perspective. So I fumbled here and there and I was like, ye to convert nahi hoga, but ho gaya somehow. Okay. But I think that's the key lesson, which is that even in the moment, if you think you're faltering, don't let it show. Actually, let me tell you, I have a 2.5 years gap. I was preparing for UPSC, gave 2 attempts, both prelims. I could not clear the prelims itself. Now, this looks like a huge problem, but it is not. In this session, we will deep dive into how to start your VAT-PI preparation. So over the years, we have realized that just after CAT, aspirants have two things, right? Either you prepare for OMETS, and the other thing is you start preparing for VAT-PI. And I mean, you should do both hand in hand. We will talk primarily about VAT-PI and how preparing early and starting your preparation early will help you in January once the call. In this session, we have with us Milana Prakash from IIM Ahmedabad, class of 2024, and Ritesh Kumari from IIM Bangalore, class of 2024. So, Milana, Ritesh, what is the ideal time according to you to start your VAT-PI preparation? Well, I think right after you know where you're likely to get your calls from is when you should start preparing for your VAT-PI, because you get an early head start. And the good thing about VAT-PI is that you don't have to prepare institute specific. It's not really institute specific, especially HRQs questions about yourself. They're like a standard template, and once you start doing that, you can just tinker it here and there and just change it according to the institute. So regardless of where you are getting a call from, you will get a call from some place, right? So your aim should be to at least convert that. Do you mind just giving a sort of a study table or sort of a schedule for people to follow? Right? कि December में या तो GK कर लो या how tell me something about yourself वाला आप आंसर आप प्रिपेयर कर लो, SOP ड्राफ्ट लिखना शुरू कर दो या VAT लिखना शुरू कर दो. So yeah. Is there any schedule that you followed last year when you were preparing after CAT, or do you have any suggestions and advice? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to work for everyone, but here's what I did. I was reading the newspaper every single day. I knew that general knowledge is going to be easier current affairs is going to be easier than general knowledge, because general knowledge is so vast. Now, how am I supposed to know about Konark Sun Temple and, about who built the Leaning Tower of Pisa or whatever? So I think it's important to be abreast of the current happenings. And in addition to knowing what is happening, it is also important to have a perspective. Now, so I think reading op-ed pages in newspapers will really help you get a perspective. So if X incident is happening, what are your thoughts about it? So that's important to formulate an opinion on that. So that is something I would say start right now, because you never know how long back they might decide to ask you questions from. And then also look at questions based on you. So learn about the city you're from, know about the history of the city you're from, know things about you. If you have a passion in a particular thing, know more details about it. Like, say I play the piano. So I was reading up about, classical pianists and, different styles of music, because I was expecting questions on that. So if you are a sports person, then know everything about your particular sport. So the key is to not do everything, because that's not possible. But whatever is connected to you, make sure you know that inside out. At Inside IIM, we have a flagship VAT-PI preparation program. Right? This is the third season that we're starting off soon. Both Ritesh and Milana were students of that program last year, and they have converted their calls. And I'm happy to announce that they will be joining in this year as mentors as well. So if you are looking for your admissions to prepare for VAT-PI, do check out Inside IIM's MBA Admissions Bootcamp VAT-PI Edge Season 3. Right? So last year we had 109 students who signed up for this program. 87 of them converted one of their top 3 best calls. So Ritesh being one of them, her best call was Ahmedabad, she converted Bangalore. Milana was amongst the 53 people who converted the best call. Right? Ahmedabad being her best call, she converted her best call. I'm not saying that they converted only because of us, but they were part of the program. And when we took mentorship sessions, we took mock interviews. So in the session, in the program, you have 5 mock interviews with MBA alumni or current students, 10 live knowledge sessions on finance, marketing, all the domains, and how to prepare for PI, etc. One one-on-one mentorship session where the mentor is going to sit with you for an hour and help you prepare for the interview based on your profile. If you're an engineer, then the guidance for you will be different. If you're a non-engineer, then for you it will be different. Most importantly, we will be giving 20 WATs this time, and we'll be editing your CV and SOP, which are extremely crucial for your interviews. Yeah. एक, I had one question. ठीक है, तो which according to you was which interview according to you was the most grilling one? कौन सा interview was the stress interview max जो we talk about it, no? The maximum stress interview. Which interview according to you was that?
For me, it was Indore.
Okay.
I thought it was my first interview, so I was a little nervous. And they got very technical because they focused on my work ex, and because I had done a borderline consulting role, they got into the technicalities of it, and they were asking me stuff about data and whatnot, which is not really my forte. So I fumbled here and there, and I was like, "ये तो convert नहीं होगा," but हो गया somehow.
Okay.
But I think that's the key lesson, which is that even in the moment, if you think you're faltering, don't let it show. So I started making jokes. I was laughing at myself. Of course, make it, responsibly, because you're not supposed to come across as being cocky or being pompous, or you're not supposed to come across as being like you're ridiculing them. But a little bit of humor always helps. So, just don't let the tension show on your face. You never know how the interview is going to go. Sometimes you might think it went like trash, but when you see the result, it might just work in your favor. So that's just this little piece of advice.
For me, I would say it was Lucknow. Same thing happened with me. So this person asked me something related to what I studied in class 11th. Some journal entry in accountancy. And I was like, sorry, but I don't know this. And this person started scolding me, literally scolding me, that you come from SRCC and you don't even know this general entry. And for a second, I was like, but you are asking me 11th standard general entry, which I am not going to use. But then I was like, okay, I was like, I'm sorry, maybe I'll look into it, but I know this related to this. So that's how this was my mechanism. Whenever something you don't know, explicitly tell that I don't know this, but don't leave your question there. Always tell that I don't know this exactly, but something related to this I know. This is what it helped me throughout.
Question from a viewer. Arpita Sureka has asked a question: how to handle questions on gap years?
Right. I had a 1 year gap year actually. It's about weaving a narrative. In fact, I actually did a video on the Inside IIM channel on gap years. So you might want to check that out. But just the key points from that video are that it is fine to have a gap year as long as you can justify it and you can take a meaningful learning out of it. So, of course, don't just say, I was sitting and studying for CAT. Of course, the interviewer knows that that's what you were doing in all likelihood, but try to take a learning out of it. So maybe in while you're taking your gap year, try to do an internship or try to pick up a hobby, try to get a certificate course, and don't just stop at that. Talk about how that particular course or that experience has given you some kind of a learning which you can bring to the classroom, because ultimately the interviewer wants to know if you can add value to the classroom and to the cohort. So if there is any if you can, it could be as inane as I went for walks every single day and it taught me lessons on resilience and consistency and anything like that. So if you can weave a good story out of it, then it's really not a problem. You shouldn't be worrying.
Actually, let me tell you, I have a 2.5 years gap. I was preparing for UPSC, gave 2 attempts, both prelims. I could not clear the prelims itself. Now, this looks like a huge problem, but it is not, let me tell you, because one thing, none of the interviewer, I think just one, it was Amritsar, I guess. In Amritsar interview, they asked me about this and why you were preparing for UPSC, what you learned and all that. So first thing, because in the SOPs, especially in Ahmedabad and Bangalore, we have SOPs, right? In both the SOPs, I willingly wrote about my gap year. 2.5 years I was preparing and what I learned out of it. So, as Milana said, you should have a story. You should tell why you were not doing anything which has a certification of it. So for that, don't worry about gap year. If you can justify you were doing something, see, it can be as people may think that I was just taking care of myself, and it's completely fine. There have been incidents. I had my incident. You are not mentally well, you are not physically well, and you are taking time off, and it's completely fine. You are working on yourself. The only thing there should be some outcome of it, some learning that you can use in your life. It made you a better person. It made you learn something, some new skill. You are in bed, but you learned maybe a mouth organ, which is a good thing. So it just should show that you are willing to put efforts, you're willing to learn. There are outcomes of your everything you do, and you are good. No gap year is a problem.
If you're just working on yourself, just say that there's nothing wrong, because one way of packaging it is that 2 years at a B school, and those 2 years are going to be grueling. They're not going to be easy. So it's important that you are your best version before you get into the rigor. So if that means taking a year to build your strength, to build your resilience, then there's nothing wrong with it.